Universes has to have their uniqueness and their principles intact, their characters intact. That is what makes them special. That's why people love them. That is their heart and soul. And if you kill the heart and soul with degeneracy like that, I have to interrupt my regularly scheduled gaming content to bring you this unfortunate news because this is a pattern. I'm currently actually making a video about what Craig Mazin, the creator of The Last of Us, said about love. And it's along the lines of what we are going to see here in this article. And basically, I do see a pattern, guys. It seems that Hollywood today is pushing a narrative that humanity is inherently evil instead of the opposite. So now let's take a look at this article and see what exactly do I mean. And of course, if you're interested in The Last of Us, you're going to see that video in a few days. And why is this actually a pattern? But this grabbed my attention and I decided to make this quick video because this is absolutely horrible. So according to the Hollywood Reporter, Andor creator explains that shocking assault scene. We are all the product of ape. I'm just going to say ape because you know how YouTube is. Now everybody are going to know about this scene because of this, and I do think that in Star Wars there should be no sexual content. Star Wars is supposed to be this amazing sci-fi fantasy, and that is it. You're not supposed to interject any, you know what, stuff in it, let alone something like this. This is not Game of Thrones, okay? But let's see the article. So Tony Gilroy on why the sexual assault attempt against the undocumented fugitive in the show's season 2 premiere block was necessary to tell an accurate tale of revolution, even within the Star Wars universe. So I'm sick of people, I mean directors, whatever, pushing their different narratives about what is accurate, what is not, when you are portraying a particular story in a universe that has some set of rules. It has the nature of the universe that everybody are accustomed to. You do not do such things. Period. I don't care what you want to push, don't push it in this fictional universe that is created with a particular things in mind, and those things do not include anything sexual, especially in the case of Star Wars. Disney's acclaimed Andor has stretched the creative boundaries of Star Wars in countless ways, bringing a grown-up sensibility to a galaxy far, far away. We do not need any grown-up sensibilities in Star Wars, thank you very much. If we did, Star Wars wouldn't be where it is today, which is in the gutter. Exactly where Star Wars is now. And now it's in the shithole. Great. Thank you very much, Disney. So, continue with the article. Yet even by Andor standards, a scene from the second season is leaving fans shocked. An Imperial officer tries to violently ape fugitive Biggs Gallen, Andrea Arjona, I'm not sure how that is pronounced, who is hiding out in a farming settlement while Imperial troops are rounding up undocumented citizens. The sequence plays out over the course of the show's third episode. The first 3 episodes were released all at once on Tuesday, with the officer's flirtation with Biggs growing increasingly persistent and eventually culminating with a brutal life and death struggle. Biggs eventually gets the upper hand and the officer is killed, but Andor boldly leaves zero ambiguity as to what viewers just witnessed as Biggs screams, "He tried to ape me." Great, amazing. This is exactly what I want to see from Star Wars. Amazing. Star Wars is a franchise that has never in film form shown even consensual, as it should be. During its first season, Andor pushed the envelope with scenes that suggested something was about to take place, or just had much like old Hollywood films during the Hays Code censorship era. Well, I don't know what Andor had in the first season, but in any case, judging by what is written here, if they really had suggestive scenes like that, I would totally say no, don't do that in Star Wars. Still, but this is not as egregious as what has been done now. There's levels of horribleness. If that's a word, that's not a word, I don't care. There's levels to how far you can go, and you shouldn't cross any line when it's not the universe, when it does not correspond to how the universe is supposed to be in the first place. But to go even further than crossing a first line and then cross another and another line, then you're just absolutely horrible. And you actually spit on the one thing that you're trying to depict. I mean, to bring to life, which is, well, something that's happening in Star Wars, thus Star Wars. When asked about the big scene, Andor creator Tony Gilroy explained to the Hollywood Reporter that when telling a story about a war, shying away from sexual assault didn't feel truthful. You can totally shy away from it. Are you kidding me? You are not obligated to show every aspect of war in the context of Star Wars. This is far, far away in the galaxy, far, far away. Maybe you can depict people not being sexually motivated in this savage way. Maybe this is a choice, and you made your choice. You wanted to depict people how you see them being in real life, and yeah, sure, there are some people like that in real life, but they're not the majority of society, because if they were, we are going to be looking at a very different society today. And most of people throughout the world, at least most I say, of course, not all countries, you know which countries you can see more of that, unfortunately, but most of the world are not criminals and they don't express themselves in this disgusting way. To push this narrative in a context of war, maybe it's going to be suitable, but then like a normal war movie, which again, I've seen some war movies. I don't remember such things. Maybe I missed the movies that depict such a thing, like war crimes and stuff. I wouldn't want to see this movie. I don't want to be stressed out about it. I don't want to see such thing. This is one of the worst thing that a person can commit towards another human being. I don't want to ever see that in general, me personally, but it's definitely more suitable if you have to even try to depict that, to depict it in other movies that are more modern, or the opposite, that depict something historical from very old times. And those are the times that these things also did happen. But to a fictional universe where you have the obligation to depict it as close as possible to what it's supposed to be, with the qualities of it and everything, you are obligated to exclude such concepts at all. You are obligated to not put any real world perceptions that you have into this fictional universe. You're obligated to not push narratives that are outside of this universe. You're obligated to be faithful to this universe. Is that this hard? But every director or show creator these days just have this massive ego, and they just want to push and push stuff into the shows, which is basically ape. It is ape of the shows. It's ape of Star Wars. It's freaking ape, okay? That's how it is. And now let's see what the heck he said. So he said, I get one shot to tell everything I know, or can discover, or what I've learned about revolution, about battles, with as many incidents and as many colors as I can get in there without having the story tip over, says Gilroy. Well, you failed, my man. You failed. I mean, let's be honest, man. Oh, let's be honest, man. Okay, here's the cynical line coming. The history of civilization, there's huge arterial component of it. That is ape. All of us who are here, we are all the product of ape. What are you talking about? So he continues, I mean, armies and power throughout history have committed ape. So to not touch on it in some way, it just was organic and it felt right. Coming about as a power trip for this guy. I was really trying to make a path for Bix that would ultimately lead to clarity, but a difficult path to get back to clarity. Okay, man, you shouldn't have done this, okay? So let's see what he said. All of us who are here, we are all product of ape. No, we are not. There's many countries in the world, there's many battles that have been fought, but the fact that some soldiers committed that at some point, and then maybe these soldiers died, some of them did not, but some that did died during the battle, they never had any generation, they never had kids because they died. I mean, there's so many different moving parts in human civilization. You cannot say that we are product of something that evil, because we are not. Most of us are product of, let's say, love. Sometimes we are product of an incident, okay? And sometimes we are product of love. But in any case, most of the times when people have kids, it's consensual at least. At least they had consensual, you know what? So you cannot freaking say that my generation or whoever person generation is a product of that, because we very well know that we are not. And even if we were, you still cannot say that we are all, because you're saying that to all and everyone, and that does not and cannot apply to every person in the world. You are absolutely ridiculous. And not only that, but this once again pushes the narrative that humans are inherently evil. This is subconsciously talking to your psyche, guys. This is not something that you can just take lightly. Such ways of expression, especially coming from Hollywood, are always meant to subconsciously tell you that you are inherently a product of something evil, that there is no real love, there is no love, and even if there is love, then they push the narrative that love is immoral, love has no boundaries, but not in a good way, in a bad way. Love is not always good because it leads to violence, and all of that, that actually I am going to talk exactly about that, dissect it in my The Last of Us video, because those are one of the things that Craig Mazin, the showrunner of The Last of Us, pushes, and he directly says them. So I'm going to explain how is this intellectually dishonest. And even if you think about philosophy, it's dishonest. Even if you think about what is love according to Christianity, still this is very wrong. So even if it's just intellectually is wrong, and you can totally destroy it with logic, let alone if you go to some theosophy and other spiritual sciences that you can tap into to further dig into what is love and how that actually makes sense, even if you don't believe in anything. But I'm not gonna get into that now. I'm just saying that there's a lot of information that you can use to disprove what they're saying. Point is that when you see such logic, and you will see a pattern in time, like I'm seeing a pattern coming from Hollywood, when they say that love is immoral, that we are all product of ape, and all of those things, that is literally letting you know that you should be cynical in this life and you should think that you are a product of something evil. Period. That's it, that we are all evil. And that is how you think to yourself that you're justified to do certain bad things in your life. And even if you don't think directly, you're definitely thinking that subconsciously, and you're doing some not well, very thought out things, how you behave in life or whatever. You start behaving in such a way because you heard all of that crap, and now you have this impression within your subconscious, and you start acting differently, and actually even argue with people online about certain things that should be totally common sense. But now you don't have common sense because you have been listening to crap like that for quite a while. So asked about Disney's reaction to the scene, Leroy says he didn't get any studio pushback. But of course, they don't freaking care for the little things. They don't care to protect their own IPs. They just want the directors or whoever to push their stuff, and they want them to push those stuff as well. So he says, no one ever said anything about it ever, Leroy said. But I mean, we have limits on what we can do. We are very aware of what we can do sexually and violence-wise. Those limits are made very clear. Yes, but there shouldn't be anything at all. Not only limits, but I mean, this thing that's called sexual something should not be there at all in the first place. Biggs had a particularly brutal journey on the show so far, having already been captured and tortured by the Imperial Security Bureau during season 1, an experience which has left her traumatized. Great. Amazing depiction of women, like very good. I mean, they're so feminist, these guys there. I'm not saying that the character shouldn't be depicted this way and going through stuff, but this is Star Wars. Fan reactions have been divided. One major Star Wars fan account wrote, I don't want to see ape in Star Wars. You can portray power dynamics and making the audience hate the Empire in other ways without taking it to such a disgusting place. Yes, thank you whoever said that. Vader wouldn't tolerate that shit, nor does the Empire condone it. It has no place in Star Wars, period. Thank you once again. Another pop culture fan account wrote, I don't mind having mature Star Wars, but I'm not okay with it going so far as depicting an attempting ape or saying the word ape. I'm actually quite disgusted with Andor series right now. Yes, but I do mind going mature because Star Wars is not that. It's not that mature. It's actually very immature to me to put something like that in Star Wars to begin with. So let's not be very pretentious with stick up our butts and pretend that very severe cases of violence portrayed on screen is somehow very profound, because it's freaking not. Sometimes it could be if it's done with taste. But this, although I understood what the scene contains and that it wasn't very on the nose or whatever, some people said that it's very mild actually. Okay, that's fine that it's mild, but in the end of the day, the point is that it shouldn't be there in the first place, no matter how mild it is. Star Wars is not supposed to have such scenes in the first place. This is not the universe to do these things. This is not the universe where you are pretending to be profound, Mr. Showrunner or whoever. So, yeah, just wanted to sneak that in while I was editing the video. It's wise, it has some wise moments, and that is way above anything that includes depicting stuff like that. While another fan account was one of the many that praised the movie. Okay, here we go. Andor dared to go the darkest place Star Wars could offer, an Imperial officer abusing his untouchable status to ape an undocumented migrant, while his troops are rounding up other undocumented citizens. That is the real world seeping into Star Wars storytelling. This is the world we live in, reflected in the galaxy far, far away. That is Star Wars at its most political, its most potent, its most frightening. I must commend the writing team's bravery to not shy away from such topics, to depict, I cannot read that, acist regimes as they are, speak the word ape directly into the camera, show just how despicable fascists really are. Andor is as brilliant as it's terrifying. Okay, this guy is one of those people that unfortunately is already manipulated and brainwashed by the whole Hollywood woke mind virus, because you cannot honestly tell me that you are a fan of Star Wars if you are pushing this, if you want to push these narratives into Star Wars, if you are praising them, commend them. That's your problem. Star Wars is not the world that we're living in. This is in galaxy far, far away. Who he said it? I'm reading it as I speak again. This is not Game of Thrones to be as political and more potent and whatever. You don't see politics like you see in our current day in Star Wars. You see things transpire in a different way. You see different types of conversations between Vader and the Emperor and whatever. And you don't have to see regular political speak. Okay? We don't need the word, fascist regimes in Star Wars and anything like that. It is Star Wars. It has its own version of whatever oppression they want to depict with the Empire. We don't need modern words. This is in galaxy far, far away. It should stay in that freaking galaxy far, far away. And we are way past the ancient things now, okay? It's not World War II. Hitler does not exist, okay? And you can say, oh, well, Gary, other things exist. It's not the point. Star Wars should be fictional. Full stop. And yet another fan account pointed out several previous suggestions of sexual servitude in Star Wars, often with scantily clad female characters, Princess Leia on a leash in her famous slave bikini in Return of the Jedi being a key example. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that somebody would have brought this up, of course. But still, it's totally different how it is shown, the scene and everything else. Just the way it was filmed, presented, it's just different. It's not the same. And now it's just very brutal and cynical and disgusting. And very violent. That is not how things were before. Things before were corny. Corny. Context matters, and how things are depicted on screen matters. And this was depicted very corny. That kind of things has happened in Star Wars before, except this time they called it what it was they wrote. Didn't happen in Star Wars. What are you talking about? Andrea Arjona played it brilliantly. It was heartbreaking. No, people, you're crazy. It is the same thing that happens now with Superman. Everybody are defending the costume. That is great. Then it's amazing. Whereas depicts basically a Superman potato. This is disrespect to Superman is disgusting. He looks soy. He looks like an average man, not a superhero, let alone Superman. So it is the same thing. Everybody that pretends to be fans of what they're pretending to be fans of, in this case Star Wars, are literally defending ape now, and they defending the ape of their franchises, the effing up of their franchises or their characters, and they're pretending that those are the same things what was before, now it's today. Christopher Reed had a bright suit, so now David Cornswet has a bright suit. Yes, but they're totally different. Christopher Reeve actually had a costume that fit his body, okay? You cannot make the difference, you cannot make the differentiation. What is intelligence and objectivity coming to? People, wake up. You're already a product of this manipulation. And it's like all over the place, this whole mindset that is applying to everything. All the characters, all the TV shows that we love. And now it's just managed to seep into some people's heads so deep that they're defending the very things that are the total opposite. The very things that are the total opposite of what their favorite universes and characters should be like. I'm sorry, this is borderline brainwashing that we're seeing. Okay, I'm not gonna read the rest of it because this video is long as it is. You can also go to Hollywood Reporter and read this yourself. The point is, guys, we should never, ever, ever want anything like that. That is absolute degeneracy, the most disgusting that you can see in any show or film, to be also applied to the things that never had this before. And you have to learn to make a difference between funny, corny. There's some things that are really horrible. When it's really horrible, we have to learn to see when it's really horrible, when it's really not. This should not be ever happening, but it is happening because people in Hollywood are sick. And now regular people, the normies that are starting to be more aware of things, but not in a good way, are starting to protect this. So there's one side of people that are waking up and they do not like to be fed this nonsense and they're standing up against it. And the other one, they are trying to tell the real fans that they are not real. I just can't by this point. Just have your own mind and don't stand for bad things. When bad things are happening to your universes and the characters that you love, you're not supposed to be standing up and support it. It's not brave, it's not bold, it's disgusting. It's lowest of the low. If a director, a showrunner, or whatever cannot tell a story without having to go to extreme violence or innuendo to show that or whatever, if they cannot do the work that they're hired for, they shouldn't be doing the work in the first place. An actor should be an actor, for example, and they should play the role that they hired for, and not the other way around when the character is tailored to the actor. So, God forbid the actor actually plays this character. But no, now the character has to fit the actor, whereas the other way around should be true. And the director should depict whatever he's hired to depict and not interject his own stupid worldviews in it. In this case, very low, very cynical views into Star Wars, which is supposed to be very light-hearted. This is not Warhammer 40k, guys, and even if it was, you cannot see such things in Warhammer 40k. There's some books, there's some stuff, there's Slanesh, which is like a deity that's disgusting, and she, he, because it's both genders at the same time, wants every type of degeneracy and excess that there could be. But in the whole books that you're ever gonna read on Warhammer 40k, you can't even read this. You know, it is very rare. It is very rare that any sexual acts will be ever depicted in Warhammer 40k, and it's one of the darkest universe that people die all the time, all the freaking time, and they don't even want to go there. And I'm the 40k empress, so I know it's another way, but it's not this way. I say just, if you don't like degeneracy, speak up. Speak up. We gotta protect what we love, and I'm not even that much of a Star Wars fan compared to other things that I'm a fan of, and I don't think that this should ever stand. This should not become a standard. If every universe depicts the same goddamn disgusting things, then every universe is the same, and there's nothing to differentiate them from one another. Then it's just different color paint on stuff, like games. Some games are these days different color paint, but they're kind of the same. Universes has to have their uniqueness and their principles intact, their characters intact. That is what makes them special. That's why people love them. That is their heart and soul. And if you kill the heart and soul with degeneracy like that, I don't want to even see this in Game of Thrones, but I know what to expect there. I know that maybe I'm going to see something like that there. And even there, they're shying away from those scenes a lot of the times. Let's say the scene with Sansa in one of the last seasons, the door was closed and you know what's going to happen to her, but you never actually even see it. That's enough. That's disturbing freaking enough. And it's Game of Thrones. I've seen worse in other shows, by the way. Game of Thrones is not the worst. But this is not supposed to be even remotely close, Star Wars that is, to anything like Game of Thrones. So you cannot excuse this. You cannot excuse this. This cannot be excused. This guy, Tony Gilroy, cannot be excused. And to say such things that we are all product of rape, I'm sorry, but you're effed in the head. And that's it. With me, guys, G-Hammer Empress or the 40k Empress. Love you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you'd like to support me, I do all kinds of coaching and non-explicit content, normal content at OnlyFans. I am actually doing life coaching there, fitness, health, nutrition coaching, talking about relationships. I'm talking about how to fix them. I'm talking about your sex life, how to fix that. A lot of insider information, so to speak, real world things that can help you in your real life. And I'm doing all of that so I can talk freely at OnlyFans. And also I'm showing my own physique update and how am I sustaining a great shape for the last 10 years, showing my physique updates, but censored. Censored. So OnlyFans is also a good platform for normal content if you want to talk about different things like that. And I have no choice but to use it because most people already have accounts there. But in any case, it's a great platform to just upload endlessly and to actually help people. So it's how you use it, and I use it for good. Thank you guys, and until next time, I love you guys. Bye bye.